the, let's see, I think. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna pop myself in. Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm gonna go straight to the major in just 1 second. I'm gonna remind everybody it's Monday. How are you? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide, and the major is gonna be with us in the first hour, and Tara Dublin rocks in the second. There's the Venmo and Patreon.com/Hal Sparks, etc., etc., etc. Subscribe and like if you feel that you like what I'm saying and how you feel like subscribing. And also, let me bring in the major. How are you, sir? Good to see you.
What's going on, Hal?
You know, we were just talking right before we came on about the breaking news that Donald Trump is being allowed to pay $175 million instead of the 464 plus that he owes in terms of a bond. Now, I don't know if it's 175 in cash. I just saw the tweet about it, so we'll dig into it a little bit. But he has been given yet another in a series of his long life of break after break after break. Thoughts, feelings?
Donald Trump gets a pass. Right. You know, Donald Trump breaks the law. Donald Trump is facing serious charges, and everything always gets reduced. It gets weakened for Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody on the face of the earth could commit the crimes that Donald Trump has committed and get away with it the way that he has. Anybody else would be in prison. I mean, if you just look at the classified documents alone,
right?
In the past 3 months, we have found, I believe, 3 people. One of them sold classified documents to a Chinese agent for $42,000. Another one shared classified pictures with his buddies while they were gaming because he just wanted to basically brag about it. And there was another one about a few months ago that was a female that was caught with 1 page of classified materials. And all of these people, one of them was already sentenced to 16 years in prison.
Right.
That's the boy. That's the guy who just bragged and showed some pictures to his buddies.
That was the Discord guy, the guy on Discord.
Yeah.
Right.
You wait until they hit the guy that got paid $42,000 because he's going to probably spend 35 years in prison.
Yeah.
But once again, Donald Trump stole classified documents. We know he didn't declassify them because it doesn't happen like that. We know that they're still missing classified documents. There's potential. Jack Smith may be bringing up charges eventually about Donald Trump potentially selling classified documents.
Right.
But once again, Donald Trump, somebody swoops in and says, hey, let's not make him have to get the 465. let's just go ahead and let him get 170 million. He can do that with cash, maybe some Trump books, and maybe Trump the game
sneakers.
You know?
Right.
Yeah,
He's got a bunch of frozen Trump steaks that he thinks are worth 20 times what they are. There are a couple things on this right now. So this is from Daily Kos. I'm trying to find out the exact stuff, and if anybody in the chat knows or wants to throw it in, if Andre or CSL are in there and they want to throw it in the Discord, so we can, because the details are a little, are rolling out essentially. But the idea is that he has to put up 175 million within 10 days, which I gotta say, for a dude who's been selling himself as this ridiculous fucking billionaire for so long, between $9 and $13 billion net worth, and people like Greg Kelly defending this asshat, going, he's cash rich and he's got cash equivalents. He was arguing the whole cash equivalence thing, which, by the way, is not real estate. You know what it is? It's fucking stock. Stock tends to be thought of as a cash equivalent because you can sell it anytime. If you may be selling it at a loss, it may not be worth the cash that it was worth even a week ago, or in the case of Trump, SoCal, Central or whatever he calls it, if word goes out that he's going to sell a bunch of it to pay his debts, the stock price is going to tank. So he's got to keep quiet about it. So he has to sell it secretly, which is insider trading, and is fucking with everybody. So he's they lowered his bond to 175 million from 454. That's the current word. But so he doesn't have to put it up in cash. He has to get $175 million bond. So how the fuck does anybody think this asshole is rich anymore? If he has to, not only could he not get a bond for 454, we're going to look at this afternoon on my regular show. Eric literally said that banks laughed at him on the phone when he asked them for the bond for 454. Like, they're laughing at that. Nobody's ever come up with anything like this. Like, no, they're laughing at you, you dumb motherfucker. Yeah. But they get to 175. They lowered it. I mean, they cut it. And then he's still got 10 days. Who thinks in 10 days he's not going to be bitching about, having to pay this anyways? Why do you need 10 days, Mr. Rich Fuck?
Well, and the thing is the money that he's putting to appeal. It's not like he's going to win these appeals.
No.
I mean, first off, the judge in the E. Jean Carroll case all but said Donald Trump raped her. He just chose to use sexual assault.
Right.
And he lost that case. Then he defamed her, and he lost that case. And then he defamed her again. And technically, they may bring him back up for a third time.
Oh, they are.
But this appeal, he's not going to win this appeal.
No.
The one thing about this is that at least when he loses that appeal, and he will lose it, the money's there to go ahead and give it to E. Jean Carroll, which is actually great. I think that's pretty awesome. I wish that was the way that it was everywhere, because like I said, I was almost murdered, and I won $400,000 from the asshole who hit me in the back of the head with a pipe and then broke 8 bones in my face with brass knuckles. And basically, I never received a penny, and I never will. He's dead now. But I mean, at the end of the day, wouldn't that have been nice if they would have said, hey, the only way you have an opportunity to even have a voice in court is you got to show up with $400,000 on a bond, so that if he loses, I get the money. But that's not how we do it for the average citizens.
Well, and also Well, you look at Giuliani and I don't know if Jenna Ellis was added. Sidney Powell was certainly added into one of these things where they have lost cases put forward civil cases by Dominion and others that they absolutely cannot pay off. Like Rudy Giuliani doesn't have $25 million. He fucking well doesn't have it. And his former assistant is also going after him for basically sexually torturing her for a couple of years. And he doesn't have that either. And she's going to have to stand in line behind all these people. And so the idea that Giuliani doesn't have that amount, or even for fuck's sake, Alex Jones doesn't have a fucking $1 billion. His company at one point was printing this fucking cash, and he owns properties and all kinds of stuff. Alex Jones is a fucking like right wing. Well, no, right wing doesn't work for it. He's like a redneck bullshitter, meaning that he bullshits rednecks for a living.
Yeah.
That version of a mega preacher, right? A mega, mega church preacher. And so
Yep.
he's got fucking money buried everywhere and hidden
Yeah.
under everything because he's still got to play poor to his people, is the idea. He's like always selling it the same way they're always selling prepper shit on Glenn Beck's show, crap like that, right? So,
Well,
yeah,
I,
good.
I think it's garbage. I mean, at the end of the day, if you look at what Alex Jones did, I mean, that is the most horrific thing you could ever imagine. I mean, you lose your child. That alone, I couldn't even grasp the pain that someone feels from losing
Losing
their
a fucking
child.
6-year-old who's shot to pieces. You have to have a closed casket because the child was just eviscerated by this fucking monster. And
And
then
then
and then you
And then
just
you're watching the news and you're watching a guy call you a crisis actor and
yeah,
say you're faking.
yeah.
You're getting ready to bury your child and you're watching a person who's dragging you through the mud. And here's my problem with that: is he lost $1.6 billion.
Hmm.
And I think that he should be walking around in a friggin' daggone a bourbon barrel,
Hmm.
because he don't have clothes on his back
Right.
because he lost them in the lawsuit. I
Yeah.
mean, this guy, he shouldn't be allowed to run around the country and continue to spew when he's got all this money he still owes these people. Because the truth is they're going to get stiffed.
Yeah.
In the end, they're going to get stiffed. They're not
Yeah.
going to get shit. And oh, by the way,
Mhm.
they're not going to get shit from Alex Jones. And it's not like it's going to do anything to stop the friggin' NRA. So basically, these people lose their children. They
Right.
get defamed, and then they get jack shit. And
Yeah.
watch this asshole still running around the country
Well,
spewing his bullshit.
agreed. And here's the thing that they get to kind of dodge, which is really curious, is again, there's no way Alex Jones has that kind of money. He definitely has hundreds of millions of dollars, no question. And Rudy probably has a few $1 million, probably worth 3 to 5, something like that, because he had his security company, and God knows he's got shit buried in Cyprus and other places. Like hanging out with Trump and Wilbur Ross is evidence, enough evidence for most people that you can they buried money everywhere.
Take it to the
That
bank.
said, yeah, right. They don't have it. So there's an element of there. It's clear to everyone that the award against them is far outweighs their total net worth, every penny they ever had, and in some cases ever will have. But with Donald Trump, he's been selling this bullshit for a long time. That he's got plenty of fucking money, and he's super rich, and his company is amazing, and all this stuff, and yet he's getting kind of the same walking pass. He bragged that he had 500 million in cash like last fucking week, and then he gets a $175 million break. So that's, I think, the root of most people's like frustration with this. Now, I personally tend to take a more tactical view of these kind of things because you and I both know most of the decisions made around Donald Trump these days are over his shoulder at the fucking psychos that will shoot up a Cincinnati FBI office or kill a bunch of people. And so what they're having to do, and this happens, I think, a lot. I don't know what it's like in sort of military decisions about this kind of stuff, but you can see it in DA's offices and that kind of stuff where they know the public is very riled up about a particular topic, but they're wrong. The public is wrong about this. They're misinformed, they've got the wrong information or whatever. And if we just dump this shit out there, they're not going to hear it for real. They're not going to hear the facts. They're going to hear their version of it. And so, it could cause violence and all kinds of stuff. So we got to mitigate how we handle this. And sometimes it means, altering people's bonds and bails and that kind of stuff. And in this particular case, they're doing basically the same shit, right?
I feel
Yeah,
I want accountability. I want accountability.
I do too.
I'm so sick and tired of
I
look,
think they're just running scared of the maggots, though. I think,
yeah,
I don't agree with it. I mean, I think I just know I can see what they're doing. Like I said
yeah,
yesterday, I was like, They should seize, if they're going to seize his properties, and they are, because like you said, they're going to lose the fucking appeal, and that's that. But that, let's say they seize his properties. I think the first ones they should seize are his sort of outlier properties, anything without his name on it, because it will undermine. Those are what his loans are based on, anyways. Those aren't because his name ain't worth shit. So all of his properties with name, the value has gone down. So the properties that are valuable are the ones that don't have his name slathered all over them. And the maggots really won't get upset about fucking properties he has in upstate New York and the rando, like even 40 Wall Street versus Trump World Tower. Like that idea. I think they should take Trump World Tower because I think there's a fucking hornet's nest of foreign money in that place. And if they start finding out, he's fucked a clock, right? But 40 Wall Street and all this kind of stuff, that's not going to land with your run-of-the-mill maggots. As a matter of fact, it might even make them think, like, he's got a fucking Wall Street building. Like, this isn't a blue-collar dude. It's the one thing about him having his tower with his name on it, like he's fucking, like the dipshit Tony Stark. But the idea of him having the building right across the street from the stock exchange, I don't know. It's still got to be one of those things where even the ones that are touting his success story are a little like, he ain't us. It's got to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that Letitia James recently did was she actually went and started filing paperwork on Bedminster, and there's another one up there. There's two. These are like his cream of the crop.
Yeah, there's a house up in like in upstate New York that's an estate or something that he was gonna turn into a golf course, and it's kind of like Mar-a-Lago, which honest to God, I don't know why the fuck he didn't move there after this, because it's an actual house. It's super fucking weird, and maybe because he doesn't own it. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's where the money is. Because, like I said, I think they crack these fucking things open, and Russian cockroaches run everywhere.
I bet. Guaranteed.
He has Seven Springs is what John was saying. That's the other place they were looking at.
My thing is this. You want to use the race card. Look, I'm just going to tell you. How often do you see people of color where their bonds are reduced in half and given extra time? I mean, this doesn't happen. Donald Trump is literally defying friggin' legal logic in this country. He's doing things that nobody else would ever be able to get away with. And once again, every damn day, there's like some way something bends to his will.
Right.
I mean, the reason why Donald Trump owes $465 million to the state of New York is because he's been cheating the state for decades. He's been cheating on his taxes he's always cheated on his taxes.
And
probably the
cheated
first
the
time
banks
he's
at the same. Yeah, right.
And always insurance companies. He's always cheated. So to me, if you can put a dollar amount on that, what he has grifted, then that's what he needs to pay. And they need to stop giving this guy a friggin' way out every damn time. He always gets a friggin' lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bullshit. It's about damn time somebody's going to say, you're fired. You get his ass the hell out of there.
Right. Well, that's the, and again, I think you're right. I think they're punting on this largely for the politics of it, and he's hiding behind it. I think it's why he decided to run again in the first place, because I think he was fucking embarrassed as shit when he lost and would have rather slinked away and turned into like the godfather of the Republican Party. Then he could have claimed rigged election forever. He's going to lose this election this fall badly. Yeah. And he won't have the excuse of they rigged it again. To run on.
They will.
Oh, he'll say it, but it won't work. It's not going to work. The Republican Party's trying to jettison him, right?
Yeah. Kerry Lake is I'm just sitting here every day. More and more people are waking up. You've got another guy. I think his name is Mike Gallagher. He's resigning next month, which is going to take the Republican House majority down to one vote. One seat. So, and oh, by the way, there are also even some people on the Republican side talking about potentially basically saying, all right, we give up. let's go ahead and let Hakeem Jeffries take the mantle and
Yes.
get this shit on. Even though he will not even he will lead the majority when it's Republican.
Yeah.
But the truth is, and that's the thing I keep telling people, hey, let's get these Democrats in there. Let's win with the ferocity, because if we can win, and here's the thing, the Republicans have done everything wrong. All of them have done everything. You know, if they're a Republican and they haven't stood up to Donald Trump, get rid of them as well.
Right.
But I mean, you know, if we take back the House and we increase the Senate with the ferocity, I mean, we're going to see some good things. It's going to happen. Joe Biden is going to decriminalize cannabis.
Yes.
And that's absolutely something that should have happened a long time ago.
Right.
The things that he is doing to reduce meds, the college debt that he has forgiven so far. You know,
$164 billion so far.
Yeah, and people could scream, well, you know, people want to go to college, they need to pay for it. Well, guess what he's also done? He's also strengthened unions across this country. And oh, by the way, if you don't want to go to college, don't go to college.
Yeah.
Find you a nice apprenticeship program.
Right.
At, like, say, I don't know, maybe the carpenters union or the welders or the pipe fitters, the boiler makers. Go to any of those places and they will actually train you for like 2 solid years. And while they're training you, they're paying you like $23 an hour to go to class.
Right.
And then when you're done at the end of the 2 years and you get handed that certificate that says you're a certified mechanic or an electrician, guess what they do? They immediately start getting you work. You know,
and benefits.
That's how it is.
And benefits with it, right. And it's not, they're not just guide pathing you into servitude. They're guide pathing you into a career that grows and will allow you to have a real life. And again, I got to tell people, like, whenever somebody's complaining about the cost of things right now, or the Republicans trying to weaponize the cost, they don't give a rat fuck, let's be honest. But anytime they try to weaponize it, remember that in large part what's happening is, this is what things cost when you pay people what they're worth. And there's what I call the change in supply chains that we've been dealing with and the like. This is an anti-slavery tax, folks. The reason shit was so cheap is because slaves were putting it together. The less of that we have, the more reasonable prices are going to be. And the more, quite frankly, the less crap people will tend to buy. They will tend to think through what they're purchasing, and things will become more long-lasting and more worthwhile and more, upgradable and interchangeable and of quality. And that's kind of the point. That's what you want to get rid of most of the garbage in the world. That's one of the ways you do it.
Good stuff. Absolutely outstanding.
So I'm obviously I'm all in this year, and not a. It's fascinating to me. You saw the bloodbath comment stuff that we're talking about. I think we've spoken about it, but have you seen the reaction on the right? Like, every interview he has given for the last week has been people trying to go, what you really meant was, you didn't really mean that. You meant about autos. You were clearly talking about the auto market, weren't you? Like, everybody's desperately trying to clean that up. Right?
Kid gloves.
Right.
Yep.
But I was struck by, like, he says shit like that all the time. They didn't do this after Vermin, right? It was weird. So this one wasn't how it affected us. I don't believe a word he says, and he's full of shit. And of course he's a sociopath who doesn't care about anybody else. I've known that for a long time. So I don't need convincing. You're not going to talk me out of understanding what he actually fucking said. But clearly there was something on the right.
Yeah.
Clearly Republicans heard the bloodbath thing and went, whoa, wait a fucking second.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? You can't control Donald Trump and his handlers, if you want to call him that. I mean, the guy is a gaffe machine.
Yeah.
He gets behind the mic and he just says the dumbest shit. I mean, at this point right now, there's no reason for him to ever take the stand and try to defend himself against the classified documents, because he's already basically said, I took them. I was allowed to. No, you wasn't. I declassified them. I could do it by my mind. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
He has literally just every day changing his stories. But that's the thing, is more and more people are waking up. I really believe that. And I know, I look at these people at these Trump rallies, and everybody that they interview embarrasses themselves. And I am hoping that some of these people see themselves and go,
Yeah.
damn, maybe I do need to do a little bit of research, and then maybe
Right.
they'll find out. But I think that people that have their heads on straight, that were Trump supporters, I think that a lot of them are now saying, "Now we're done." I mean, that's one of
Yeah.
the reasons why 181,000 people voted for Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley when they wasn't even on the ballot.
Yeah.
Not Donald. Donald
Right.
Trump won Florida by 81.4%, I believe it is.
Yeah.
So let me tell you something.
After
That's
both of them
not
had dropped off. Right.
That's right. That's not a time for a victory lap. If all Donald Trump gets is 81% when he's the only one on the ballot, that says something. And
Right.
oh, by the way, independent voters are not supporting Donald Trump. Republicans that are switching to independent are not supporting Donald Trump. You've got Republicans out there right now saying that they will vote for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is killing it.
Mhm.
And that's just how it is.
Right.
I mean, that's where we're at.
Yeah, I have been, as we watch this kind of play out, and I this show at certain points has become what I call the talking points graveyard, because I've just watched these fucking right-wing talking points die on the vine, just wither poorly. I mean, we can go back through just like the price of lumber was going to be the thing that gets Joe Biden kicked out. The fact that Trump was going to be reinstated. Eggs, like Jesus Christ, like so many of these fucking things, right?
One thing real quick. You did hear Donald Trump say that if Donald Trump is not reelected, it's going to be our last election.
Right.
Really? Really?
Yeah. Really?
Really?
Yeah. But again, I don't even know how to look at when somebody says something like that other than you're just shit talking America. Like, sorry, man, but we've been through some fucked up shit in this country's history and managed to keep walking. What are you talking about? The Iranians, and by the way, by proxy of the Soviets in some ways, ironically enough, helped Reagan get elected and broomed Jimmy Carter out of the office. This Trump versus Hillary bullshit isn't new in any respect. It's a little more like overt because of social media, but it's the same kind of subterfuge. It's been around for a lot of fucking time, and we survived that shit too. And like, it's so weird. Like, again, I call it like kind of the King Arthur myth that they've used. The land and the king are one. That they really think that if Trump isn't president, the country dies. It's a small group of people, and they're lunatics. They're the same, the QAnons, but they really do think it. That number, you think that number's dwindling? Yeah.
I do. And once again, Joe Biden he's killing it. I mean, he's knocking it out of the park. The only problem the Democrats have is the Democrats need to learn how to friggin', promote their successes. Joe Biden will hit a damn home run. He'll do a quick lap, and then that's all you hear about it. Donald Trump has a successful bunt, and they act like he won the fucking, Super Bowl or World Series. You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I mean, it amazes me,
right?
That we have it this way, and it amazes me how we have so many people in the United States of America that now all of a sudden believe that Vladimir Putin is our friend. And I mean, right. I saw a rally where a guy was like, "Putin's with us." Are you out of your damn mind?
Well,
I mean,
he is with them in terms of their anti-gay panic. I mean, that's if you boil it down to it, it's like that Canadian family. We've talked about it with Phil that moved to to Russia and then found out the hard way that it's not the free society they thought. It's kind of in line with like Viktor Orban. Trump is always talking about Viktor Orban and that he's a tough guy and a tough ruler, and he rules with an iron fist, and that's why they don't have any crime there at all. Well, guess what? They also don't have gun rights. Like Russia has some fucked up gun rights. Hungary's are worse. It is harder to get a gun in Hungary than it is to get one in Russia. And so Trump going like, they've figured out a way to handle fucking crime over there. Like, yeah, motherfucker, get rid of the guns. It's amazing how much it drops off, right? After that shit. But I don't know that registers. I mean, Russia's got terrible gun laws, and yet they were funding the NRA, sending Maria Butina over here to fuck our politicians. And I guess shuffle money into Republican coffers, which they're still. All right, the two things I want to talk about with you, and then I know, like Andrea, you had a couple of like you were going to gather some questions if somebody brings them up in there, because I know the chat last time wanted to do sort of a bit of a Q&A with you, so I want to make sure we get some of those questions. Yeah, and one was, I guess we got to talk a little bit about the shooting in Russia. The four members of ISIS-K, ISIS-K has taken credit for this. They've aired the video, even I think other angles of the video from the killer's perspectives on their social media. So that's how they've sort of proven that it's them. And
they're all from Tajikistan, I believe.
Yes, they're all Tajikistani. They were all living allegedly in a hostel in aptly named hostel in Moscow. And one of them says he was paid by somebody to go kill a bunch of people. I kind of think that's bullshit. That sounds like they beat him until he said that. Because that's what they want to do is like, no, sure, it's ISIS-K and but these guys were tricked by the Ukrainians. They paid them pretending to be somebody, which is just, it's fucking ridiculous. But yeah,
how they spin it, they're going to spin it the way they spin it.
Right. So, like we know that they use the Russians use stuff like this and have. I mean, it's how Putin got in power. The apartment bombings, he orchestrated it and then claimed somebody else did it. The attack, a real attack by Chechens on that theater in whatever it was, 2003 or whatever, that ended up starting the Chechen War. Like they used it as a precursor. So did he let those guys in? Did he know? Talk about false flags. There's like a full-on false flag, and then there's a look the other way, and let these guys come in because you can weaponize the damage they do.
Yeah, I was kind of like, it kind of made me scratch my head a little bit, because I was like, if that was Ukrainians,
Mm-hmm.
I could understand that. At the end of the day, the Ukrainian people have been absolutely tortured for the past few years. And their homes have been destroyed.
Yeah.
They bombed open markets, hospitals, schools. They bombed everything. So I could understand Ukrainians going and launching attacks, on Russian soil, because they're pissed and they've lost.
Right.
But now when we're talking about these four people, but of course it's ISIS. But what was the? We could see ISIS hitting anybody anywhere.
Right.
What caused them to set this up for Russia? Are these terrorists pro-Ukrainian? I really, once again, the information that we're getting is from people that are getting the shit stomped out of them. So you really don't know if it's fact or true.
Well, in terms of a couple of things, somebody was asking, is the new bond agreement 175 for his bond? Does that mean he still has to pay the 460? Yes, he does. The bond isn't. That's just how long he has to put down to hold off the judgment being acted on during the appeal.
Well,
That's it. Yeah, but he still owes it doesn't lower the amount that he owes at all. So Leo was asking that in the chat room. But so in terms of Russia and why, very specifically, Macron was saying earlier, I guess, late last night to us, was that they had just stopped a couple of attacks in France from ISIS. And ISIS, has been, because of Charlie Hebdo and all kinds of stuff, has been, there have been groups of Islamists that have been attacking, at France for a long time. Also, France has forces in Africa that push back against Boko Haram and some of the more violent aspects of that. And they align themselves with some of the governments. And it's been, think what you want about hinky colonialism, but when the French move out, the RSF types move in. And that's been a problem for a long time. In terms of Russia, they have killed or captured in their own country 4 or 5 ISIS leaders and other people that have either tried to come in and do stuff or fighters that have come in. They've also killed people in Afghanistan and Pakistan using the Wagner Group and their own military and stuff. Recently, within the last 90 days, there have been, relatively relatively well publicized killings of ISIS. Like, I don't know, it's hard to tell who's the upper leader of an organization like that because it's a sprawling, threaded group of stuff. It's like the Taliban, which is fucking 12. What's RSF? Rapid Strike Force. It's the other fighting group in the Sudanese conflict that's happening right now. They're the ones using rape as a tactic like Hamas does. It's just fucking brutal. But so, anyways, Russia has been attacking ISIS lately, and they have done their own killings. They've also been aligning with Iran, right? We know that Iran's been giving them arms and back and forth for the Ukrainian fight. And remember, it was ISIS-K that claimed responsibility for the bombing of Qasem Soleimani's funeral procession. And what's weird is, so Trump extrajudicially, in my opinion, kills Qasem Soleimani, the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and the guy who orchestrated Hamas and Hezbollah as these like anti-Israel pushing forces, and sort of the subterfuge of using civilian murder mixed with the response to those civilian murders as a way of saying, see, they overreact, and then doing it again and driving this up to basically build anti-Israel sentiment, and so they can get rid of them. That was Soleimani's plan. So when they killed it, ironically enough, when we ended up killing him, ISIS, it found themselves in a enemy of my enemy is my friend moment with the U.S. And because Russia sided with the Syrian government, even though both the Syrian government and our allies were fighting against ISIS, including us and the Kurds, Trump left the Kurds out to dry. And a lot of those fuckers, while we talked about how the Turks killed a bunch of them, and that was our big worry, ISIS killed a shit ton of Kurds after that. And they view sort of Trump as this dictator who's probably, I don't know, fucking anything. They're chewing cot all the time, just like everybody else. They're out of their goddamn minds. So they see that like he's in power and charge and maybe still going to be, and they know about as much about American politics as we know about their inner workings, right? They just see who's up there, and they think, oh, Trump's on our side, kinda. And so they're just like, that's how I think this is woven in. I mean, they're all lunatics, but that's where I think it comes from. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Stuff
to keep our eyes on.
What does the major think of France's commitment to back Moldova if they're attacked, and Flint thanks you for your service, as do we all.
Well, thank you. Absolutely, I think that we should do everything in our power to keep Vladimir Putin from spreading what he wants to do. At the end of the day, we know that he wants to go back to the Cold War era where they controlled all of where Yugoslavia. You're talking about Bulgaria, Serbia, all the Croatia, Bosnia Herzegovina, Montenegro, Albania, all those places.
Yep.
All the way up. We're talking Romania, Moldova. At one time, Poland, half of Germany. I mean, that's what he wants. He wants to go back to those days because basically, I think, even though he is one of the wealthiest people on the face of the earth, I think that he's also one of the most greediest people on earth, and he wants more. Right. And his thoughts is the only way that Russia gets the more that he wants is if they go back to that. And the thing is, nobody wants to go back to that except Russia. The Baltics back in, I believe it was 1989. As soon as the fall of the wall, I mean, it was places like the Baltics immediately said, "Hey, we want to become part of NATO."
Right.
And there's some countries out there that are not part of NATO, and that was part of the agreement. And a lot of that was like, you don't want border, countries to be a part of it. Of course, they couldn't do anything about the Baltics, but I mean, that's you can understand that, but it's just it's absolutely sickening the way he's wanting to do it.
Okay, so do you think it's partly because, and you and I've talked a little bit about how like the drone fighting and all that kind of stuff has happened, and how like murder on the cheap is getting so much easier to accomplish. I mean, most of the squads that the Russians have even put out there just spray something in somebody's face and disappear. So it's not like they have to have like laser targeting and satellites and all the other stuff that everybody else has to have. They're just basically, on the street killing people, just snuffing people. In that case, do you think somebody can ever have enough money? Because, at a certain point, it isn't even about how much money you have to use against your enemies. But if they have a single dollar in their pocket, you're scared shitless. Because if a buck can buy you a murder, that could be you on the other side of that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, also let's look at the technology today. I mean, I'm going to tell you, when you want to talk about the IED fight,
yes,
not IED, I'm sorry, the UAV. Okay,
yes,
you want to talk
unmanned
about
aerial
UAV
vehicles.
fight. Yeah, you want to talk about that. Let me tell you what that does. During the Vietnam War, if we thought that there was somebody on the top of that friggin' hill, like Hamburger Hill,
yep,
what we're going to do is we're going to basically commit an entire division, if need be, and their goal is going to be to get to the top of that mountain and get rid of everybody that's the bad guys.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Today it don't work like that. Today, and I'm telling you, I've been retired for 10 years. Right. And I'm going to tell you that, we had a whole entire company in our brigade combat team that was focused on military intelligence, and one wing of that company was UAV. Yeah. And all that, you're talking about a kid that's 19 years old that's got something that's about maybe a foot long, and he can
keep talking. I can hear you. I'm going to go get some. I'm going to show you something. Keep talking.
He can launch it by basically just throwing it into the air, and then it takes off. And once it gets to a certain level, it then gets taken over by some guy sitting in some daggone office desk in Texas. And that UAV can go all around that mountain, and that UAV can tell me if there's actually enemy up there. And then if there is enemy up there, I can also get another UAV to go up there and kill them without me having to go up there and waste human life. Right there.
Let me tell you something. So I talked about something like this the other day. So the Swedes have these things called Hornet drones, which are going to be part of every soldier's kit at some point. They're this size. That's a camera on the front of that thing. It has a removable battery on the bottom of this, so you could swap them out and pop them in like that. And it sends, not only does this, you can fly this thing around, you attach your smartphone to this one. This is just a consumer version. This is like, I think this cost me $125. And I've been experimenting with it to kind of show people like what's possible. And so I'm going to post some videos eventually where I can cut these things together. There's a little bit of a learning curve on how to use it, but it didn't take me long. And let me show you let me show you. $150.
Oh, wow.
And you know what's built into it? And here's the reason why I picked this particular one. Okay, this is called the C127 AI. It's basically an augmented toy, but so don't get too carried away that it's something. But it has an AI capability that in its software, it can spot vehicles and human beings and animals and tell the different satellite dishes. It can tell the difference between military gear, right?
And that's a civilian.
It's a fucking. It was $150 on Amazon. Like that. Can you imagine this stupid little thing? How this would have changed that situation in Hamburger Hill you're talking about if this was available in the 60s. I mean, it is.
Look at what the Ukrainians are doing with the UAVs.
The ones the ones they send to blow up the refineries are made of cardboard.
It's cheap. Yeah. And literally, they flew it inside of the hangar and started taking out aircraft. And once again, okay, it's worth what? $150. I mean, you get and that thing right there is made of nothing but plastic pieces and things like that. I mean, you probably got kids in high school that can make those.
I can rebuild this if I have the pieces. I absolutely could. I could take it apart, and I could make a bigger one of these if I wanted to with a stronger motor in it. Just swap it out, make it heavier. It's the same control point. So all you got to do.
Which
Yeah.
is why I tell everybody that Hal Sparks is scary. He's scary smart, man. He's really smart.
Look, I
But
just take things apart and look at them. That's just all I do. But yeah, it really is like once you get the software to tell the little motherboard in this, the little tiny little Raspberry board, yeah, Peter, the talking that's in there, what to do, then it'll tell whatever's attached to it to do it. It doesn't give a fuck. So you can make it as big as you fucking want. That's why you're seeing these guys like building these like drone cars in their fucking, that are scary as shit because there's fucking propellers. But it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. And the fascinating thing is, if this is $150, that means probably costs $60 to make, right? As the toys, whatever. The Ukrainians could buy boxes of these motherfuckers and have them and put them on a coordinated flight plan where they all just go across an area and just scan the whole fucking area. They'll know where everybody is. And that's exactly what's happening right now. That's exactly what's happening. The new
that's
one,
why.
right? The thing the Swedes are going to do, and this is, I saw a demo of this and it was so fucked up. It's amazing and I'm for it, believe me. But the propeller wings on this thing, they fold up so you can put it in a smaller space like that, right? Okay. And theirs are really nice. They lower down and click onto the thing and then they pop up. So the whole thing, as delicate as it is, can be in a form-factored space that's way easier. So what they have built is a fucking a thing that goes on your pack on the top, right behind your head, that's like a little flip-up top case. And you'll have a thing on your arm and you'll go like that, and this motherfucker will go outside you and zip ahead, and everybody in the unit is going to send theirs out to wherever they're like, I think there's a dude over there. And they're all going to, instead of them all like flying over and looking down, they all will make a circle around the area you want to look at and create a topographical map and a heat map of the area so you can tell where the guy is, which direction he's laying, what kind of gun he has. They'll have 4K, 8K video. These things, but shit, in a couple of years, they'll have those like Apple Vision textural photos ability. They'll take, some of them will take 4K shots because they'll just send back, stills that are plenty, like, oh, there he is, and that's it, right? And the fucking GPS coordinates of wherever they're looking.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. Like, this is not... That's why I think Putin will never feel safe.
No. He's in a world of hurt, and he deserves to be there.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you, those UAVs, the ones that are used to take out tanks and stuff like that, I saw a video the other day. It was kind of sad because, you had all these infantry, these Russian infantrymen, and they're sitting on this tank, and the tank is traveling so they don't have to walk, and they get targeted. And let me, you got the tank noise, number one.
Yeah.
And by the time they even realized that they were dead, it was too late. You started seeing all those guys like dive off the top, but they didn't get not even 2 feet in the air before everything went to shit. Because, let me tell you something. This UAV fighting has gone to the next level.
Yeah.
And Ukraine has taken it there.
Yep.
And I'll tell you right now, it's kind of scary when you think about, I mean, waging war today with the kind of technologies that we have, it is absolutely quite scary. I will tell you that I personally, myself, I don't think that I think Russia is weak. I don't think there's, hell, they're getting their ass handed to them by Ukraine. But I also think that China's in the same category. I don't give a shit how big their military is. When all you do is parade, you ain't out there fighting. And let me tell you something. A parade force is not a fighting force.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you, our military has been fighting for the past 20-some years. So, and we never lost a fight. There was never a fight. There was never a time when we walked. Now we've been beat. We've sustained some damage, but we ain't never lost a fight. Ever.
Right. Well, and that's this kind of goes to the Afghanistan thing that I've talked about for years. The Afghanistan, quote unquote, as the graveyard of empires, has a lot more to do with people going fuck this, bye, than it has to do with they lost the actual fight. Like, what are we fighting for? Why lose people, right?
Yeah, over in that part of the world as well, you're not going to change the ideology of these people.
No.
You're not going to. So for us there, I mean, the only thing we're doing is basically the whole time we've been in Afghanistan, we just basically go from point A to point B and wait to get hit, and that's it. And I know that sucks, but that's literally how it goes. We're going to go from point A to point B. And we're going to see if somebody's going to try to, start shooting at us, or if we're going to find IEDs and shit. And that's literally the whole point of being over there. And it's ludicrous, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think some people have seen. I'm trying to look for a picture of it. I'll find one later and store it so I always have it available. But the EMP pulse gun that the military has now that can not only knock out a drone but take control of it and land it, which means if they can get it to land and make you think that it crashed on the other end, right? If you're running it, they can find you. Like that is like, and again, that's what war's going to be more like in the future. I don't know. Again, you got to assume the other guy has one as well because they're not that hard to make. An EMP rifle isn't that hard to make, but it is hard to control, and it is hard to have the kind of power and focus that you would need. But they
have taken out, the Ukrainian military has taken out 8,539 Russian UAVs. I mean, that technology with that sensor gun to be able to take these UAVs out. Once again, that's another area where Ukraine is showing to be head and shoulders above Russia because they've got equipment that's head and shoulders above Russia.
Right.
And our equipment is head and shoulders above Russia.
Anita there's a couple of other questions here. Well, Russian Ron Johnson and other people that left Parna's name, are they going to be arrested? That's a good question. I don't know how much direct evidence they have against Ron Johnson eventually, but it's going to get gnarly for that fucker at some point. Like that.
If anybody that poses any threat at all, especially if it's like towards Putin, their days are numbered.
Right. Because if they can talk, they have more to worry about from him than us, right?
Yeah.
And then Anita says, I have a question. When they were investigating the Italian mafia, the FBI tapped phones and their cars, etc. How come they couldn't do the same to Captain Cheeto the Hutt? They can, and they have. The interesting thing is Trump tends to borrow other people's phones when he sends texts. We learned that, right, from the case against Walt Nauta. That Walt Nauta said he borrowed my phone for a minute. I don't know what he said, which is bullshit because it was still on there. But he also made phone calls on there. But they use burners all the time. They rotate it through. They're pretty savvy on this stuff. And most of the reason why Trump said the Zelensky call was a perfect phone call was because he thought he had said all the crimey stuff without saying the actual crime stuff. That he had used the right language, the mob language, to not technically say anything criminal. And he's pissed that he got caught. That's really what it was. Sam in our chat says, is asking, Ukrainian apartment buildings are targeted. It's barbaric. Gaza apartment buildings are targeted and it's collateral damage. What's the difference? Sam, I will tell you is that the Russians do not warn anyone that they're going to hit a building. No. That would be the primary one. The Israelis drop leaflets. They wait days, if not hours. They have a countdown that they let people know when it's going to be hit. That's the difference. And the Hamas is very good at making sure people either don't find out or they stay in the building, but they will shoot people for leaving. That doesn't happen in Ukraine. Certainly doesn't happen in Odessa. So that they have other questions for you. Putin has killed more Russians than Ukrainians. Who's his real target? Most dictators kill more of their own people than any others. More of a statement, but yeah.
I think we know what he wants, and I also think that we found out by day 3 that they already had plans to immediately take. Once they took Kyiv, their next goal was automatically to move into Moldova. Right. And once they take Moldova, who's connected to Moldova? Well, that would be Romania.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, who what's to say that they don't put people on the border of Belarus, basically touching up against Poland? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's what Vladimir Putin wanted to do. That's
Yes.
what he thought he was going to be able to get away with, because he too thought that he had the second most lethal military fighting force on the planet. That turned out to be nothing more than a paper tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So let me go to. I want to show you something real quick. The name might be wrong on this one because I usually don't pull people. No, there we go. That's the wrong one. Sorry. Um, Anyways, I'm just showing this on screen so you can see it. That's the Paladin drone defense gun. Right there.
I understand that it looks like a gun, but it shoots out like a thing that knocks it out. Let me tell you, these kids today, and
Yeah.
I've said this before on here. I'm telling you all that these kids today, you can talk about they're soft. They can't run 2 miles in less than 12 minutes and 30 seconds. You can talk all the shit you want,
Mm-hmm.
but our military also is smart enough to know that you have to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's harder for kids to meet the standards that people like myself had to make when I went in. Well, today it's not so strict, but there are things that we have today
Mm-hmm.
where I tell people, like the remote control of an Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
They literally use those in the military. They literally
That's right.
rewire these remote controls because these kids today can work those. They got like 16 buttons on the things.
Right.
And these kids can do it like this. That was the day that I stopped playing video games with my kids. Was when
Right.
I realized if it was more than 3 buttons, I can't deal with it no more. So I stopped. But
Right.
these kids today they can take those drones
Yeah.
and create magic using a little remote control. And I'm telling you, they're lethal with this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the fascinating part is that is completely defensive. Again, the great thing about that focus on, say what you will about those kids, but that is the shield, not the sword. Right. And that in and of itself is is also important to the conversation. What is our priority versus what is the enemy's priority in this particular situation? The enemy's priority in this particular situation is abstract death. These things flying in and just blowing shit up. And you can tell by the 3 soldiers that we lost while they were asleep, specifically. Yep. So like that's their goal. They don't really care. We care. We care so much, by the way, that this is the kind of stuff we are developing, right? And that matters. Well, I mean, we can. That could be a conversation in and of itself for another time. I just want to make sure, by the way, we're in the last 3 minutes of the first hour, and then Tara's going to be joining us. But I want to remind everybody: turnleftpack.org is the Majors organization, and one of the things that I think is crucial this year. And I think you and I, this is the thing you and I, of all the things that we talk about, have bonded about the most, is that voting as a method of working out your political disagreements and the value of that can never be overestimated. And that commitment to voting with a consistency and working towards a particular goal, even when you have 2 steps forward and 1 step back, is crucial, especially when the obvious alternative is someone like Donald Trump, but even when it's not.
Yeah, but also understand that, you deserve to have your voice heard.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're a Republican and you cannot feel you just can't see yourself voting for Donald Trump, make no mistake about it. Voting against Donald Trump, supporting Joe Biden is a very, very loud voice.
Mm-hmm.
Switching to independent and still voting against Donald Trump is still a very loud voice. But at the end of the day, vote.
Yeah, right.
There's too many people who have given their lifeblood so that you have that capability. Don't friggin' waste that shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're at.
Yeah, when we were talking earlier about Alex Jones's crime against the parents of Sandy Hook, his supporters in his defense was, I didn't direct them to do this, but how do you expect them over time? You've cultivated this thing. Urinated on the graves of these children.
Yeah.
They actively got up. They went. Some of them didn't even live in the fucking state. They flew there or drove there with the intent of eating along the way, getting a hotel, got out of their fucking car, drank a whole thing iced tea while filming themselves so that they'd have plenty of piss when they got there, and urinated on the graves of these children. And you're telling me it's hard to figure out who the judges are, so I'm not sure if I'll vote? Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Because what we're up against is a group of people who will drive across country to urinate on the graves of toddlers who were eviscerated, and the least we can do is get registered, stay up to date, and vote the best we can each time. And turnleftpack.org especially is about, one of its other mandates, I think, is making sure that red districts know that the Republicans aren't doing them any good, and Democrats serve their interests way better.
Well, go to turnleftpack.org, and we've got some really nice Cancun cruise T-shirts, some Jackaloon T-shirts. So get you some, and
yeah, that's right.
Make for good gifts.
Yeah, we appreciate you, brother, so much. And I hear Tara shuffling teacups in the background. I don't know. She's I don't see an image yet, so she has obviously chased the white rabbit down the hole. But thank you so much, brother. I'll see you again soon. Please join us again next Monday.
Sounds good. Thanks,
all right, be
everyone.
well.
Bye.
Okay, cheers. There he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, our beloved Major, give it up for him. And Sam, I don't mean to attack you on that answer, but I genuinely, that is the answer. Your question about the difference between the apartment buildings in Ukraine and the apartment buildings in Gaza, that's the difference. And by the way, like I said, if you don't think that makes it different, if you think warning people for days and then in the lead up doesn't matter, then I suppose the Russians shouldn't. That you support the way they do it instead. That's okay. By the way, Tara, I don't see you yet. I hear you, but I don't see an image. I do not see your lovely face. Yeah, I could definitely hear that. I heard that. All right.
I can see you.
Okay. Well, is there something draped over it? Is as old-fashioned as the case?
No, I'm going to hang up and call back.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll make it happen. Don't worry. But it might be a glitch on the software end, but she's definitely there, and we'll bring her in just 1 second. Let me get in here with you guys, and then turn this on, and then we go to this guy. Right. There we go. Sorry. Turn this off, and then turn that off, and then take this thing. Whoops. Take this thing and move it up. There we go. Well, I can do a little bit of housekeeping while I'm doing here, and also bring in the chat. Hi, guys. 1 second. There we go. Now I see her. Excellent. Excellente, as we used to say in high school because we're silly. There we go. But I don't hear her now. Do I hear you? Check.
Hi.
There
Hello?
she is. Now, yes, now I hear her.
Hi.
Excellent. Fabulous. Let me pop you in here in a second, and then we will get to what we're getting to. Excellent. Gotta love live streaming. 3, 2, 1. And ladies and gentlemen, here she is, the woman who does indeed rock, Tara Dublin, who is, hi. Are you feeling better, first of all?
I'm not 100% by any stretch of the imagination, as you can hear, but this is the best I have felt in 12 days.
All right.
So I did not have the Rona. I tested like 4 times.
Right.
I believe I'm coming out of a period of RSV.
Oh, nice.
It's not great in adults, but there's been like a big RSV outbreak here in Portland because, of course, it's Portland. And yeah, I started feeling really punk about 10 days ago. So and I'm vaccinated and boosted and
sure.
Got my flu shot, and I'm a good girl like that. And so it's been a very long time since I've had anything sort of going on with this, but it was like someone hit me with a sledgehammer, and then once I was like hit with the sledgehammer, they said, "Here's all of the mucus for like a 700-pound gorilla," and put it in my body.
All right.
So it's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Sure.
But if I was writing a memoir of this period, it would be called "Snot Rockets in the Shower: The Tara Dublin Story." It's fine.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's the place to do it. I'm a big fan of the morning blow inside the shower, folks. I mean, if you're in there, clear it all out. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
There's not a lot you can do if you have RSV. All you can do is rest and drink fluids. I've been taking decongestants. But other than that, there's really nothing.
Vitamin D.
Like,
Always with vitamin D. And you don't get a lot of sun because it's Portland anyways, so you're probably D deficient.
When this started, we were going through the false spring where it was like 68 degrees and sunny, and I couldn't go outside. I was like sitting in the window going, "Heal me, heal me." So yeah, this has been rough. It really hit me hard, and thankfully my wonderful son Jack was able to deliver a couple of things. He brought me. Here's the thing, and the ladies out there will know this is true. If you send a gentleman to do your food shopping for you, he will not come back with what you want. He'll come back with a version of what you asked for, but not what you wanted. So, and I love my son. I'm not going to criticize. I took the things
Too
and
late.
thanked him. But it's not a criticism. It's a blanket observation of all mankind, because it's true of anybody, any guy that you send to the store on your behalf. So I asked for the generic Dayquil, NyQuil. That he got correct, and I love him for it. I wanted, and he also got the proper orange juice that I wanted, pulp-free. But I wanted ginger ale, and instead of bringing me like your proper Canada Dry, or if you have to, Schweppes, he brought me like this diet ginger ale zero with aspartame, and I was just like, that's bullshit, ginger ale, but I love you so much, so I'm not going to drink all of this, my darling. I'll just take 2 of these and you take the rest home. And he was so psyched for that. And I wanted chicken. I wanted chicken soup, of course.
Sure.
And he brought me Progresso chicken soup, like 3 big cans of Progresso chicken soup, which is So I was like, "Oh, honey, I'm not going to eat all this. You take 2 of these home." He was psyched. And then I wanted, bring me some sugar-free popsicles, and he brought me pomegranate popsicles.
Okay.
But because they're so healthy. Pomegranate's so good for you and full of antioxidants, and so, and they're fine. They're fine. If I was making a run to the grocery store, I would have chosen different things. And then a few days later,
I would have stuck that landing. For the record, speaking on behalf of the good guys out there, for fuck's sake, I would have stuck that.
I'm just saying it's not what I would have done.
Bad at things, not bad at the core. But
no,
I would have stuck that landing. No problem. And if you don't believe me, at some point we will bring on Summer, and you can and ask her, because that is one of the areas where I'm like, oh, bam, and 10 from the Russian judge. So
and I sent him to my former place of employment, Mother's Bistro, to get me matzo ball soup, and it was like a thing like this, and it cost $12. I was just like, $12 for barely a bowl of matzo ball soup. Thank you, Portland. But I mean, because I can't, there's no medicine, it's not like I can go and be like, "Give me the RSV medicine," or you just got to tough it out. And so,
have you thought about maybe getting a very powerful light inside the body, and maybe, because I hear disinfectant works in it.
Pills.
If you can inject, maybe there's a way to inject it, or you could get in there and do a real cleaning, because I hear it does a number on the lungs.
I might occasionally, it might sound like I'm dying. I might cough a little bit, but
no, you just sound like just like Lauren. Yeah. Oh, there you go.
George C. Scott, little Brenda Vaccaro for Tampa.
Yeah, that's right.
A little bit. So, and today, obviously we'll get to what happened this morning, but I am wearing my Foo Fighters shirt today because it's the 2-year anniversary of when we lost Taylor Hawkins. And so, I'm just kind of, and he's right here by my heart. And I'm just thinking about Taylor today, and I would ask everybody out there, play some Foo Fighters today. Play some Foo Fighters. Think about Taylor Hawkins. Perhaps pick up The Sound of Settling, inspired by Dave Grohl, with amalgam characters based on most of the Foo Fighters in here, and lots of Foo Fighters Easter eggs. So, today's the day to think about that. And now, celebrate the fact that Donald Trump is fucking broke.
Yes.
Let's
Well,
go.
that's
Let's
yeah.
go.
Let's get okay. There are a couple of like great fun parts, and like I said, people are very frustrated that he's going to supposedly get off with just having to post 175. I just love the
He didn't have that either.
embarrassment. Yeah, he didn't have that either.
75 million. He didn't
No.
have that either.
He's
And none
lying.
of his friends are putting up the money.
No.
I saw it right before we came on the air. I saw an article saying Trump's wealthy friends aren't willing to help him. And some people are like, well, I don't have that much cash on hand. I don't have that. No, okay. Okay, friends. He doesn't have any friends. He's just surrounded by ass bag yes men. Oh, did you win a trophy at your golf club yesterday? Just what the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Did you see that? Did you see the tweet from Dark Brandon? Did you see the
No.
tweet about the trophies?
No.
Oh my God, Hal. So Trump tweets that he won the trophies. He was the big winner at the club. And Joe Biden quote tweets, he's like, good for you, Donald. Like,
Right.
this is total pat on the big accomplishment.
Right.
Total pat on the head there. Delightful. Just delightful to see he's a giant fucking child.
Yeah.
I won all the prizes at my own club. Imagine if he didn't. What would happen if somebody beat him at a tournament at
Right.
Mar-a-Lago when it, you know, or they didn't look the other way when he kicked the ball into the hole after missing it 7 times? I don't know. But anyway, what a pathetic piece of shit he is.
Oh, so good.
Just pathetic. And people still defending him, crying about the 8th Amendment and it's unfair. And it's like, you know, like what fucking planet do you live on where crimes go unpunished? Look,
Right.
it's Duke.
Oh, hi, Duke.
There he is.
Duke
Yeah.
Duke of
They're-
oil.
They're
Hey,
freaking
Duke,
out
you want to have some
because
fun?
I took this chair out of the bedroom so I could sit down and it
Aw.
has a back. And they're
Mhm.
like, you moved things. You're messing with our defined senses
What
of
are
order
you
here.
doing? Right.
Oh my God. Anyway,
hmm
how are you? I haven't
I'm-
seen you because you were on tour last Monday. and we
I
didn't
know.
get to chat.
Well, that wasn't tour. That was family business.
Oh,
But,
that was family business?
Yeah. Still,
Did you get it all squared away?
Yeah. It's all good.
All
it's,
good in the hood.
Yeah. It's it's just a regular part of my irregular life, and I'm sure you're familiar, in this particular case with, if I may, the just kind of interworkings of traveling children. But
I mean, it depends on how old they're. If you start them traveling really young,
oh, he's great.
then
Yeah.
then they're totally used to it. It's just as they get older, you
hmm
end up having to schlep less and less, and that's the
Right.
great thing about traveling. Like they can have their own backpack,
hmm
they can carry their own books instead of you looking like a pack mule for a baby.
Right.
The amount of shit that you have to take on an airplane with an infant it's crazy.
Yes, it is.
So
Whoops, hold on. I have to
So you
fix
just
something real
learn.
quick. Yeah. Don't worry. Keep talking. We can
my
hear you.
kids, both of my kids have always been excellent travelers. Their dad has taken them on some pretty amazing trips. They've been on cruises. They've been to
Right.
Europe. They've been to Hawaii. I can't afford to take them anywhere, but they don't want to go anywhere with me now anyway because they're in their 20s. Why would they want to go on vacation with their mom?
Oh, I don't know. It sounds like a party.
I don't know. Jack might, though. My son Jack said the nicest thing to me yesterday when he came over yesterday to help me with some stuff. And we were just talking about things. And
Right.
just kind of like off the cuff, I said something about, well, I'm glad you're not worried about me. He goes, I don't worry about you. You're always fine. You're
Aw.
always fine. You always figure that stuff out. You're always fine. And I was like, I did not know you thought that of me.
Aw.
That made me feel pretty. I'm like, oh, you don't think I'm a royal fuck up? That's awesome. That's awesome. Speaking of royal fuck ups, is that Eric?
Yeah, so this is I wanted to bring this on screen, so I had to do a little bit of shuffling. Forgive me.
Guns
And
Gary Busey's my real dad.
yeah.
Okay.
So this is I have to copy this and play it in another thing. But
money dummy, I can't.
oh, it's so this is the one about where he's like we went to these banks and they were laughing at us because
I wonder why.
no one's ever heard of a bond this big. Now, I disagree. I think. Hold on, I have to close this other window and open it up so we can all hear it because I have to be able to play it in a way that you can hear it, which is the important thing. Because pardon me for doing this all on camera, kids. But if I don't,
okay.
yeah, it's just how this shit works out. Yeah.
Show us how the sausage is made. Go ahead.
That's right. Paste and go. There we go. So we'll go to here. Oh, go away. You're already signed in, you asshat. All right, this is driving me crazy. There's no reason why it shouldn't be. Okay, all right. Well, I guess not. So I'll have to download it off of his Twitter. But essentially, I can play like you can say
in years.
it's
So.
it's pretty terrible. But I'll play it for the chat. You can.
No one's ever seen
Here,
a bond
here.
this size.
My
Every
dad
single
is
person
getting
when I came
shanked.
to them saying, "Hey,
There,
can I
there's
get a
my
$500 million
Eric
bond?"
Trump impression.
Maria, they were laughing.
Gums flapping all over the place.
So the important part is, and I played the audience could hear it, but you couldn't because I can't loop it back to you without a giant sound problem. But he goes, Maria, they were laughing at us.
No one's ever seen a bond.
No one's ever seen this before.
This size. Every single person.
It's incredible. Everybody I talked to, they were like laughing at me. I'm like, hey, asshole, maybe they're not just
you're a giant fucking loser.
Yeah,
ass
maybe they're not. Maybe it's not about who they're laughing, what they're laughing about, but who they're laughing at. Maybe it's the idea of giving you a bond of that size, because other companies, especially public companies, have no problem doing this. And most companies, with the alleged amount of assets Trump has had, have gone public over the years. But Trump can't do that because he's so fucking mobbed up that it's a dead fucking giveaway. I think that's the problem they run into.
When I just, there has to be a point where people start going, maybe he's not as wealthy as he's been saying. Like, when do they wake the fuck up?
Right.
When? Yeah. And let's all remember, he's not even close to done losing in court. Not even close. There's way more stuff coming down the pike. They just rescheduled one of them for April 15th. I forget which one it is because there's so many. But maybe the documents case. I'm not really sure. But there's another one. I mean, there's just that he's just going to keep racking up more court cases.
The Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, the hush money.
Yeah.
The hush money. So,
which has got time. That's got police, that's actually got jail time associated with it as well. The chance of him actually going to jail over it are very slim for anybody who would be the first time they've ever given hush money to a porn star. I think everybody gets a mulligan. I hope so.
Phew, what a relief.
Right, yeah. But, I think we all hope so. But, no.
Who among us hasn't?
Yeah, so, I know. Yeah.
Except all of us.
Right. So normal, right? But the classified documents part, that's gotta, everybody's like, we need to do this before the election. I'm like, nah, I got news for you. That motherfucker's going away for a long time. That's going to eat up so much like airtime, and he's going to lose the election on the other shit, and more information about it's going to keep coming out, and he's bleeding voters.
And he can't afford to fund his campaign and fund his legal fight.
He never did, though. This whole, can I just say, this was bullshit from the start. He didn't fund his original campaign at all. Like, that was all, first of all, like mega donors dumping money in his direction to fuck with the Republican Party and kind of initially scare them into behaving the way they wanted, right? And then he got these, small dollar maggot QAnon voters that were kicking in. But this motherfucker never funded anything from his own campaign. He's always been
spend his own money.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any of his own money to spend, which is why he has to keep spending other people's money. And this is why he's also turned the RNC into his personal piggy bank and installed his daughter-in-law there. And now it's like, if people donate money to Republican candidates, it might go to him first so he can pay his lawyers.
Yeah.
There's some sort of new trickle-down economics happening at the RNC directly into his bank account.
I love it. I'm for it.
And they just keep coming up with new grits. It's like, here, he's like a human 3-card Monty. Don't look over here, look over here. And so I
don't care. I think it's great.
I'm tired of being grifted and lied to. I mean, there has to come a point where they really start waking up, and it's like, you think today's bad.
Paul B in the chat said
today's like a little.
Yeah. Paul B makes the point, and he's right. He loaned himself $10 million in 16. But who the fuck says it was his money? It was a loan. So the RNC and all the other donors paid him back well before he started spending a single dime of his own money. Like, he probably loaned himself that money at interest, the campaign, and then charged his own campaign interest on that shit so he could make a percentage on his own campaign, thinking he was going to lose, quite frankly. that it was just going to be another grift where he could charge the small dollar donors and other people who were kicking in on that. There's no question. So I've said many times that I believe that his lifestyle is chintzy, nouveau riche bullshit, and I find it classless and gross. And
yeah.
it's just a bunch of like gold. It's a bunch of like gold spray paint, trying to patch
like on the
over.
sneakers.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then how does he pay anybody? Does he pay them in Trump bucks and says, you can turn this in for a free buffet at Mar-a-Lago?
Oh, right. Well, that's the other
That's
thing
the
too.
value.
Is some people have been trying to put their Trump bucks in the bank. Oh, kitty. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's not. You can't.
No, that doesn't work that way at
Why
all.
don't you tear out pages of your Bible and try to deposit those at the same time?
They might actually have more value depending on where you are in the country. I'm sure somebody.
That's true.
I guarantee somebody would go, here's $5. Stop tearing pages out of your Bible. Give me that Bible. Here's $5. Go away. And they're like, I can buy.
Well,
I go hit a motel and get another Bible, and I get $5 every time I do it. It's an industry.
She's going to be on MSNBC though. Maybe he can get Ron Romney to do like some sort of fundraising.
Well, that's
segment.
the other. Well, first of all,
Jesus fucking Christ.
that's why they kicked her to the curb, anyways, because she didn't want to raise money for his legal defense fund. She, oddly enough, wanted to try and get Republicans elected, and now we find out there are no plans to have her on the air. And that if she's consulting, it's going to be behind the scenes, not on camera. And Morning Joe has already put a moratorium that he's not going to allow her on the show. He and Mika have said she's unwelcome here. I got to say, I like it. Because first of all, I just like the idea that anything that makes Trump upset or makes his tinfoil hat crowd freak out. Because, like, again, Ron McDaniel's not going to convince any MSNBC viewers to vote Republican. It's not going to happen. She's not going to be able to talk anybody anything or even justify any of this shit. She's just going to go on there and embarrass herself because she was terrible at her job, and she'll be terrible at this job, too. But the good part is she will freak the fuck out of Donald Trump. Every time she's on camera, he's like, God, but MSDNC, that kind of shit. And I'm for it. Like, anything that ratchets up his stress level at these points, he fucking deserves it. The way he makes other people feel. It has that value alone.
But she hasn't, she's named in the Georgia RICO case.
Mm-hmm.
She is on video under oath telling the January 6th committee that she promised Donald Trump she would help him overturn the results of the 2020 election. Mm-hmm. She doesn't belong anywhere. She doesn't belong on Meet the Press. She belongs running the laundry press in a prison somewhere very far away from where anybody can hear or see her. The point is that she was hired at all.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be hired by a news. Sorry, no. You want to go work for Newsmax? I have no problem with that. Go lie with them.
Well, they're not going to have
lie
her.
down with the dogs you came with, right?
She's not welcome any of those places. She couldn't get hired at Fox or at Newsmax or OAN or RSBN, any of these fucking places.
Fuck it. Like, just reaching out to her and be like, who sits down and goes, who should we get over here? We should get Ron Romney over here. She knows stuff. She can give us some insight. No, she can't. She can give you insight to how to suck up to Donald Trump. That's the only insight she's got. That's the only thing that she's done. And we have her on MSNBC talking bullshit. And then she's scrubbing all her tweets, being critical of the liberal media. Screenshots are forever, Ron Romney.
Lady,
and
right.
We've been passing one around, just her being so hypercritical of MSNBC. How? If the head of NBC News is a Trumper, he needs to lose his fucking job. Mm-hmm. Anybody who is partisan when it comes to politics, if you work for a news service, you need to leave your politics at home before you come to work, or don't come. That's not what we watch the news for. If you just think back to before 2016,
right,
and how elections were covered. The 2012 election was the last normal election we could enjoy in this country. We're never going to have that again. Ever, because Donald Trump flung his loaded diaper all over our political norms. And at no time in 2012 was my life ever threatened by a Mitt Romney supporter because I was voting Democrat.
Right.
Nobody called me a libtard kike.
Well,
nobody threatened.
Well,
me.
I understood.
Things.
I agree, but the weird part is that because I watch at this point Newsmax, OAN, RSBN, and all this shit. And the Blaze and the fucking Daily Wire and all that shit. Which
the Daily Wire.
We'll talk about
Candace Owens. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, right. So there is a limit apparently, but I gotta say, and my viewers can kind of attest to this. The ones that are regular watchers in the afternoon show. There's always been a little bit of pick on the rhinos from Trump being around. The idea is that he ran as an outsider, and that was kind of, they won, and therefore they're going to kind of dunk on the other Republicans that moved too slow because they wanted to, I don't know, stay elected instead of getting trounced after a single election. But they didn't learn their lesson from Trump. And what they've learned is that these fuckers all think they need to like double down and double down and double down and be more Trumpy and all this kind of stuff. So they spend most of their days attacking far more Republicans than Democrats. They think the biggest, enemy are the Benedict Arnolds of the world aren't Barack Obama anymore or Joe Biden or fucking Hillary Clinton anymore. It's Mitt Romney. It's fucking John Thune even. And Jesus Christ, that guy's got like an 85% Trump voting record, right? Even fucking Mitch McConnell. The fact that they attack Mitch McConnell, which, I give a shit. I'm not going to throw myself in front of, that bus for Mitch, right?
No.
But the fact that, think about how much time they spend shitting on that motherfucker. And I mean, at this point, what do? Just sit back and watch and go, okay, it's your fucking party. If you want to just destroy it, knock yourself the fuck out.
Basically,
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and now they have a 1-seat majority in the House.
Right.
So...
And they're going to lose one.
Not going to get any better.
They're going to lose another one. They're going to lose another one before the fucking election. And just mark my words. I have said this since they took over, since they had the majority. I was like, Matt Gaetz is going to get fucking evicted because of his ethics shit. A bunch of people are going to quit. We've got at least 4 that were going to be indicted or left, which is exactly what fucking happened. And we're now down to 1. If one more leaves, fucking one. It's a tie game, which is hilarious. And then if they
start
lose,
a pool and see who it's going to be.
Right. And if
Matt Gaetz is still under investigation by the House Ethics Committee, which, hey, House Ethics Committee, I'm absolutely monumentally available to testify about both of the complaints that I have sent to you about Matt Gaetz. I'd love to. I would love to testify on the record about what Matt Gaetz and his former staffer Vish Burra did to me. And using your official congressional website to harass an American citizen I feel like that should somebody should be punished for that.
Yeah, that should be something. Well, that's part of the again, the man is being deposed for having sexual intercourse with a minor in his own state, where his dad basically got him his fucking job. Let's understand, like even this case, like I don't want to hear this outsider shit. Even like Trump's a 2nd generation rich kid. Matt Gaetz is a 2nd generation politician in Florida. His dad was the head of the RNC for a while. He was the mayor of Tallahassee and then became a state senator or whatever the fuck his path was. But he's been in control of a large swath of the Republican Party and just inserted his fucking dipshit son into this process. And of course he acts like this. Of course he acts like a douchebag in a shit rom-com, like a date rapist. Because why the fuck not? It's like how he was... Well, he's from Central Casting for that, right?
Right.
Oy.
So, I mean,
can I show you something funny though? Can I show you?
Yes, you can. You can always show me something funny.
Okay. All right. Work with me on this. This is Donald Trump on his Truth Social. He posted this. Received this morning. Beautiful. Thank you. And this is what the person wrote. It's ironic, isn't it though, that Christ walked through his greatest persecution the very week they're trying to steal your property from you. But have you seen this verse? Okay, first of all, fuck you, lady. I don't even know what the fuck it has to be. Like, Jesus is going to be nailed to a fucking piece of wood and left there till sundown and then die bleeding out of his side. And, it's the same thing as having, liens against your property. Fuck you. All right. This is Psalm 109. Of course, she goes NKJV. So she used the King James Version. Of course she does. But they have...
Your Bible didn't fall out of the sky, bitch.
They have also surrounded me with the words of hatred, and fought against me without a cause. In return for my love, they are my accusers, but I give myself to prayer. Thus they have rewarded me evil for good, hatred for my love, and set a wicked man over him, and let an accuser stand at his right hand. When he is judged, let him be found guilty. Let his prayer become sin. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Okay, first of all, that's fuck you. First of all, that's from the Psalms. That's the Old Testament. Even Christians, the concept of Christianity is the new covenant. You follow Christ, not the fucking old eye for an eye shit. So you don't get to go, poor Jesus in the moment he walked through, and then go this, fuck that dude. The day will come when he'll get his, which is in the Psalms, because that's the opposite of what Jesus said. He's like, forgive those who trespass against you. It's the exact opposite. So that, and then he's like, beautiful. Yeah, because you've never read the fucking thing, and you think it's this woman wants to use your butthole as a bong. She goes, I'm praying. Oh God. I'm praying over this. I'm praying this over you daily. So many praying for you. Thank you again for taking the arrows intended for us. We love you, America. White heart, American flag. Flag, white heart, flag. I don't know why
that's
the white.
Fine. You can be in multiple cults at the same time and get the same result, which is fucking nothing.
You don't get the fucking.
I mean, it's really impressive that she was able to write all that with her head buried so deeply in the sand.
Yeah.
Right? You can keep hoping the invisible sky daddy comes to save your fucking adjudicated rapist criminal who was caught on tape committing election fraud. It's fine. You think a miracle is going to save that piece of shit?
No.
If you want to live like that, if you want to live in the dark and you don't want to admit to the reality that the rest of us are experiencing here on Earth 1, there is nothing we can do about it. We can't convince you to live here in reality with us. We can't tell you to not believe in the invisible sky daddy because it's what you have, right? That's what you're living for. That is your crutch.
No, it
That's
isn't.
What's propping
for
that person.
Tara,
no, for her.
No,
because
it isn't though.
Reality is too hard.
Her misread and misuse of it is her crutch because what she wants
fucking stupid.
Right, because it's a weaponized thought. It's no different than somebody who screws their business partner because they read a chapter of Art of the Deal and was like, that's how it's got to be done, right? It's that kind of thing. I just want to point out, can we just enjoy this? I love how they talk about how like the Democrats are melting down and melting down and melting down. Every time I see the Dems like talking in Congress, especially on the fucking impeachment committee and shit, they're pretty good humored about the whole thing.
I feel like we've got a really good grasp on what's happening.
Yeah.
And the fact that every time the Republicans hold a hearing, the Democrats are shutting it down with these crazy things called facts that the Republicans just don't have. They don't have any facts and they don't have any truth. They just have accusations and more accusations on top of that with no proof. So every time there's a hearing, you have Swalwell sitting there delivering truth, and you've got Jared Moskowitz, who's the fucking goat. He's like, you want to do impeachment?
He's great.
Let's just do it.
Let's vote on it.
Let's go. And everyone's like, and then you have someone like
you're up to your eyeballs in evidence. There's evidence everywhere. How can you not see it? Everybody can see it. It's obvious. They've been doing it for so long. There's so much crime. And then with this crime everywhere, we have evidence. All right, well, if you've got the evidence, let's just fucking vote on it then. What are we doing?
Let's go.
Yeah.
And you don't, though. And you don't, and you still don't, and you never did.
Never will.
And all of this, since they somehow squeaked through that House majority victory, it's all been a show for an audience of one. It's the Mar-a-Lago dinner theater players, and they're just over and over again acting out the same bullshit. Nothing. They have nothing. I have never seen so many people make something out of nothing. They don't have. It's the same old. They just recycle it in using different all caps tweets. You got nothing. The emperor never had clothes, ever. And this is the moment in The Wizard of Oz where the curtain is revealed and the guy, and he's doing all of the things. That's where we are. And MAGA's like, nope,
I
don't see it. I don't see it. It's not right in front of me.
Except plot twist, it's not actually the guy who was the Wizard of Oz, who turned out to be a nice guy who was just lost and was covering his ass in a magical land and was afraid for his life. It's one of the flying monkeys
but it is
just
all
flinging
smoke and
shit.
mirrors.
Yeah. Yes, agreed.
It's all
so look at
smoke
this.
And mirrors,
It says,
and Jim Jordan is one of the flying monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, Leslie Stahl, when you have Jim Jordan sitting in front of you and you don't ask him about the rapes at Ohio State, you're not doing your job.
Right.
She got him to admit to the election bullshit, like, oh, well, no, Joe Biden legitimately won the election. He was like, all right. So everyone thinks she did something. Oh, okay, great. What you didn't do is what you should have done, which is, while I have you, what about these 177 athletes that were raped at Ohio State and you didn't do anything?
Yeah.
I would have. It's not that hard to ask the right questions. I don't know why she didn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's some brutal shit. That, like,
makes me angry
yeah.
to see you have this. Like, it's bad enough you're giving him airtime to try to obfuscate and still continue to bullshit and his yapping, flapping, wet mouth. You had him right there in front of you for however long you had him. And if it made him get up and walk out, who cares?
Oh,
you
it'd be
get
so
him on
good.
Camera.
Please
right?
make him
That
get up
would
and
have
walk
been
out. Yes.
So if I'm Leslie Stahl and I have that opportunity and you don't, that would have been the fucking first question I would have asked him. Like, before we get to Trump, this thing that's been haunting you your entire professional career, where you have never once passed a successful bill. You have never once. In the most gerrymandered district in the United States, it literally looks like a duck. And how you're even in Congress is a mystery. But then this Ohio State thing, that's nagging at me. Let's clear that and then move on to Trump.
Yeah, wouldn't you want to just deal with that and get out of the way? It's kind of like what Comer always says about the Bidens. Why wouldn't they want to clear their name? Well, I think the same thing is true with Jim Jordan. Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, you know how they want to open with saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I think Jim Jordan should open every committee hearing that he chairs by going, here's what I knew and when. Yeah, this is the.
How many times did he call Trump on January 6th? How many times?
Oh, that's coming too. That's gonna be in the Jack Smith thing. Crooked polls. I don't know if he's got limited numbers or letters or digits or characters on his thing, but polls. I guess politicians. Polls. It's odd. Anyways, there should be no fine. Did nothing wrong.
It's fair that they're making me pay for my criming. It's just not fair way.
Notice the lack of I in the did nothing wrong. I didn't. He's not saying I did nothing wrong. He said, I don't know. The crooked polls did nothing wrong. Whatever. Anyways, why should I be forced to sell my babies?
Your babies? You want to sell your babies?
He calls
your babies aren't worth fucking shit. Oh, you mean your properties?
Right. That's what I mean. To sell my babies because a corrupt New York. And then it just because a corrupt New York judge and AG said a fake and ridiculous number, take his cash so that he can't use it to defeat his political opponent. Crooked Joe Biden election interference, all headed up by the White House. This includes Fani and the corrupt Manhattan DA back. There's no crime. Was mortified by what Mark Pomerantz did. He should be witch hunt.
Jesus, Donnie, all caps, take a breath.
God damn. At some point,
how embarrassing it would be for us if Joe Biden tweeted something that looked like
anything like this.
I mean, my God.
Well,
he's such a fucking child. He has given you absolutely nothing to be proud of. Not one thing. One
of my favorite Martin Short jokes that I think I forget I don't know if he was talking to Jerry Seinfeld or somebody. He goes, you have a wonderful smile. It's like an email from my mother, all caps. And
is that when he was Jiminy Glick?
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh,
it's it's like an email from my mother, all caps. It's just so
That's
great.
Delightful.
But again, we keep hearing all the time about how Biden's old, but Trump is still a spring chicken or some shit. And yet this is what he does all the time. He does the fucking like crazy school board nutcase, all caps, old lady stuff nonstop. The number Engoron said is fraudulent.
What's she yelling about?
It should be 0. I did nothing wrong. Corrupt. Like
everything wrong. You're here because you did this. And that's the other thing that I've been pushing back against is he has this incredibly long court calendar, longer than one of his badly tied, stupid red ties. Okay? Innocent people don't have a court calendar that looks like that, but we'll set that aside. He has all of these other court cases coming up. Why is that? Why is that, kids? You think do you really think the American judicial system is like, let's create a witch hunt against Donald Trump to distract him from being able to campaign?
Mm-hmm.
He did this to himself.
Yeah.
Nobody made him pick up the phone to call Brad Raffensperger.
Nope.
Nobody made him rape E. Jean Carroll. Nobody made him pay Stormy Daniels hush money. Nobody made him do fucking shit. He did it all himself. And the problem is that he's been surrounded by a bunch of yes men sycophants for far too long. He's like, yeah, boys, you're the best, boys. Yeah, you're the greatest, boys. And now we have Don Corleone. I love that trend. Have you seen that? Hashtag Don Corleone. It's beautiful. It's the nicknames that people have come up with for him over the years. It's beautiful. Democrats are so clever. Republicans are terrible. They can't come up with. I mean, look at the nicknames he comes up with.
Here's the other thing. We never did for a long time because we're supposed to be above that, and the occasional just straight up pejorative for somebody was reserved for the David Dukes of the world, right? Everybody else, you're like my distinguished colleague from wherever, is important to the function of your democracy so that everybody can get on with it instead of just fucking screaming matches on the floor all the time, which is, by the way, one of the other reasons why we outpace the UK economically and stuff, no matter how many tendrils they have in the rest of the world, is because their House of Commons is like, all the time. You're like, how about everybody shut the fuck up so we can get some shit done? Is partly what we solved as well. But, none of these, now that, Trump made his bones against the Republican Party, and apparently they're willing to fucking take it, which is weird. Again, it's one thing for, the Mitt Romneys of the world who would I'll vote for him on this project, this particular bill, and we think we do need a tax cut, but that kind of shitty conversation that he ended up having, versus Ted Cruz just fucking tucking and fucking himself after what he said about his wife. It's one thing.
Well, he became Trump's permanent toilet and bidet. Nice look, Ted Cruz. The same Ted Cruz who sent out a fundraising text with the image of Alvin Bragg instead of his actual opponent, Colin Allred, because Ted Cruz is a fucking racist who thinks all black men look alike.
Right.
They literally can't do anything right. They can't. I honestly don't even know why that wasn't a bigger deal. It should have been a very big deal that Ted Cruz, I don't know if it was deliberate or accidentally, to send out, you're sending out a text to all of your fundraising base, everyone who's on your email list and your text list or whatever, and you use a picture of the Manhattan DA instead of your own opponent. What was that? And there was no apology to Colin Allred. There was no backlash against Ted Cruz and his staffers. Actually, there was a backlash against me for writing about it when his staffers, Darren Miller and Steve Guest, went after me after I wrote that article and another one about him that they didn't like. So it's just, they have nothing. And it's actually, I mean, if you want to take a step back, it's actually kind of impressive that they've been able to maintain a smokescreen for this long, because every time it starts dissipating, they just blow more smoke. So you can't really see what's actually going on. And after a while, I don't feel sorry for the grifted MAGA masses because they're willingly going, right? They're willingly taking it. They're enjoying being lied to. And for them, it's about saving face, and they can't admit that they were wrong, and they don't want to admit to themselves maybe that they were wrong.
Yeah, but it happened in public.
Disappointment is so hard to get over.
For fuck's sake, again, it's one thing if you can lose in private, but it's to just go.
The whole world.
I don't even know how you don't do that. You can even go I'm going to vote for this bill because this bill didn't come from him. This bill came from our committee, and we put it together, whatever. And he's going to sign it because, of course, he's going to sign it because he's head of our party and blah, 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 blah. But I'll answer questions about that. But I'm never going to go, Donald Trump is the man we need for this. And again, the idea somehow, and I don't get it, how fucking Texas. Think about what you believe about Texas, and even think about the concept of the cowboy alpha male as an ideal. Whether you believe in it or invested in it or not is immaterial, because they sure as fuck are, right? And yet, who do they follow? This spongy orange fuck from New York who has a guest house that he lives in, rents out half the time, and then does wedding parties in Florida, in Palm Beach. Jesus Christ. Like a New Yorker that goes to Palm Beach, you're like, you sure he's not Jewish? Like that, it's such a rubber stamp of that kind of idea for the Texas crowd, or the Texas adjacent crowd, who claim that they're, this is important to them as a a point of character. And yet Ted Cruz is one of the weaseliest weenie men I have ever seen. Just his kind of, and he's got that, HW voice. None of them have the ability, for whatever fucking reason, to speak in their baritone. It's odd. They're all like this. They're all like, even Trump leans on that kind of like fucking Sopranos, fucking kind of zone of voice. It's pinched and weak and odd. And again, you can be however you want. You can talk however you want. But if you're telling me that alpha male means this, and then you're like, like him, I'm like, there's a dissonance there that I gotta point out. What the fuck are you talking about?
Also, if you look at a picture of Ted Cruz from 2016 and look at him now, I mean, the man is aged like 25 years in the span of 8. And I think I'm like a year older than Ted Cruz. And so, I mean,
I'm 6 years older than Alex Jones.
Crazy?
Yeah.
It is crazy when you're that hateful and possibly drug-addled, what it does to you, when you have decided to sell your soul. And again, remember when the Russians hacked the RNC and the DNC, they only released what they had on the Democrats.
That's right.
And they have held on to what they've got on the Republicans. Honestly, I'm ready. I'm ready to hear everything they had on the Republicans. And we've talked about this before, and we've said, short of murdering or somebody who's underage, what could be so bad that they've decided that it's more important to be loyal to Putin than their country?
Right.
I would love to know.
By the way,
we know you're gay, Lindsay. We very much know you're gay. It's fine. Come on out of your fainting couch. Closet full of fainting couches. That's where he lives. And Mike Johnson and his prayer closets and porn. It's just everyone is a fucking freak over there. Can we just get Hakeem Jeffries as speaker? When Marjorie Taylor Greene is like, I don't want you as my speaker no more, Mike Johnson. It's real. Come on.
Okay. We'll take it from here.
I think everyone's fine with that, right?
You ever notice how Hakeem Jeffries has this kind of Garfield look whenever he's on the floor, and sometimes when he does press conferences, when he's not hanging around with just other Democrats, just talking or whatever, he's got this kind of okay, motherfucker, look on his face, and I can't say I blame him.
I'm just waiting, motherfuckers.
Just watching. Yeah, it's so funny. So
we've just, Democrats can play a long game, and we can wait because we already know where we're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have a vision. We know what's going to happen. The Republicans can't pass any meaningful legislation. They can't get anything done. They are all about the Trump show and nothing else. Because if they actually cared about passing laws and doing their jobs, we would not have had to watch Marjorie Taylor Greene bring in her Hunter Biden penis vision boards or listen to Nancy Mace for any amount of time and letting her sit there and rape shame other rape victims. Nancy Mace Prynne, I think she's incredibly thirsty for Hunter Biden's.
Yeah.
She's so after, I believe she's a single lady, which I am too. But when you go out there and you wave your arms around and you're like, you're doing everything that she's doing for negative attention. That's not the way, Nancy. You're not going to be Trump's VP. And then you have Kristi Noem, who has completely changed her face. Have you seen her lately? She went to Trump's plastic. Kristi Noem went to Trump's plastic surgeon and said, "Please give me the full Alina Habba," because she's got Alina Habba's face.
Yeah.
Now. So, by the way, every time Kristi Noem tweets, I just respond with, "You cheated on your husband with Corey Lewandowski." And I got blocked by Corey Lewandowski for tweeting that. Truth hurts. Truth hurts. So here's what all I have ever done, and people can do it your way, but my way is just keep telling them the truth about themselves.
Right.
Because the more you do that, and the more people that see you telling the truth, the better. And I will say, I've learned how to sort of manipulate the new Elon algorithm of Twitter, because for the
Uh-huh.
longest time, I have a blue check mark because a friend of mine said, if you get a blue check mark, you'll be more visible and you can make some money
Yeah.
from Twitter. And I was getting like $13 here and there as a payout. I'm like, this isn't it. Like that barely pays for my check mark. And then I learned that it's about negative reinforcement. And if you go under a few of those bad ads, or you go under a couple of MAGA blue checks, and you get just a little, my engagement has increased by 5 million over the last 2 weeks. Everything, if I look at my analytics, everything is green.
Yeah.
Everything is like increased by 500%. I'm waiting for my next payout just to see how it's done. I have learned how to manipulate that, because that's the only way you're going to make money with a blue check.
Sure.
So if anybody out there is doing that, do that. And I'm no longer like people I used to, and I don't even know why I was so worried about it. Like the great big horrible MAGA accounts that people are afraid of. I'm not afraid.
Right.
I'm responding to some of the absolute biggest, shittiest accounts, and my engagement has exploded. So I'm delighted. I'm delighted to do that. As we are learning, there was that big story on 60 Minutes last night about Elon deliberately doing what he's doing to Twitter. It's like, really? Thanks for catching up, 60 Minutes. So, and until there are any consequences for Elon Musk, I'm just going to try to milk every penny I can get out of his shitty takes. I
Right.
don't want him influencing our election any longer. And I'm really hoping, like with the latest stuff that's happening to him, that good people who have money will come together and like try to buy it from him. Do you think
Mhm.
that's something that could happen?
Twitter?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Twitter? No.
You don't think, I mean, he can't own it forever. Something's
No.
going to give. Something's got to give where he's not going to be in charge anymore.
It's not a thing. It's digital.
Well,
Let me tell you, his whole like Grok experiment and all that stuff is just him using Twitter as a farm for his large language model for as long as it exists. He doesn't give a rat fuck whether it actually works out. It's to him, it's worth the government contracts and the worldwide manipulation that he has if those fail. So it's again, it's spending money to make money. $44 million of other people's money, by the way, largely other people's money, Saudi money to in large part. But there will, I mean, just like Vine, just like Snapchat to some degree, although it's hanging on fairly well and they're trying to make a comeback in light of TikTok's bleed. There will be, another, one of these things. Once there'll be a tipping point, whether it's Threads or something else, where people jump over and go, okay, we're on this now. It's way more fun. There's this other thing to it. Like there's an advance in the technology that jumps one step forward as far as the availability of video and pictures and that kind of stuff, or
mm,
rules about storage, or how it's much easier. You can aggregate from your other social medias and put them in, just borrow them from those places to post in your own site as one account, those kind of things. Somebody's going to do
mm,
that with a Twitter-like short news-based point, which is why he was fighting back against Substack, by the way, because Substack has its Twitter killer it was working on. That's why he was trying to shut it down, because it ain't hard. It will not be
yeah.
hard. Taking over what Facebook does and the myriad of things that fucking Facebook is involved in is a lot of goddamn work, right?
hmm
You know? But Twitter ain't hard. I mean, that's why Trump came up with Truth Social. It's why there was Parler and Gab and all these other fucking things.
Right.
And why he bled users, right-wing, users, to those platforms for a while. And he effectively, just by pulling them back to where they were, he didn't gain any more. They just all went back to Twitter, killed those other outlets, including Truth Social, which is, people are just hanging on to there's no action there. It's just people hang on to their accounts there, you know, hoping that Trump can parlay their existence on the platform as opposed to their use of the platform to advertisers and the like, which he absolutely cannot do. So look at MySpace is another thing. MySpace was, closer to Facebook, and has become a music space, which I don't understand. It's very odd, but because there's Bandcamp and other versions of that people can
Right.
use, or even Spotify accounts that people can use now. Something else is going to come in and push it aside. And Instagram is one of those things, but Instagram is narrowed to the picture format that it's based on, and it will be hard to shake that because that was initially meant to be a single source type of site, right?
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no. Twitter will die a natural death. Just saying. And Duke is back at the door, people were saying. He walked by.
Oh my goodness. No, Duke is right here.
He walked by, I think, at one point.
That was Maxine.
Photo bomb.
Remember,
That was Maxine.
There's 2 cats here. There's
Road's
2 cats
right.
that
I
look
didn't
alike.
see it. I was looking
Duke
at.
is
I was
laying
reading
here
the
showing
chat.
me his. Duke is laying near me, showing me his full belly because he wants my attention.
Of course.
He's just a baby.
It was a kitty bomb. So yeah, I think it's. I think people will move on from Twitter the way they moved on from MySpace at some point, which seemed an impossibility, and then of course it became a normal.
Here's Maxie.
Oh, Max is so beautiful.
She's the prettiest.
You're so tiny it makes her look like a Maine Coon, which is a cat I want.
She is a Maine Coon.
Is she?
Maxine is a Maine Coon, and jeez, you're such a baby.
Slut.
And she and Duke. I don't know if you know this about cats, but female cats have 2 uteruses, and they can get impregnated by 2 different daddies at the same time and have one big giant litter. And so Duke and Maxine are from the same litter, but they have different dads because Maxine is Maine Coon, but Duke is Bengal, but they're both tabbies, and they both have the big M's on their foreheads and all of that. They're brother and sister from the same litter.
Wow.
But they're big. I mean, he's like 14 pounds and she's like 11 pounds. So if I've been holding him and he's like, woo, and then I pick her up, she's wee. She's like, she weighs nothing.
Right.
By comparison, she's
like
she's
Chip versus
fur.
Maddie and Murphy. Yeah, they're the same kind of deal.
She's mostly fur, but and so sweet. I mean, but this whole 10 days that I've been inside, they keep looking at me like, don't you need to go somewhere?
Yeah.
Don't you have something to do? Why are you still here?
We do secret cat shit while you're gone, and you can't see it because
can you just
witches
go?
will
But
do
while
things
you're
to you.
here,
Right.
give us all that, and I can't say the word out loud. SNACK. That's all they want all day long, and
Same
they can't have that. And the laser pointer. As long as I'm doing those 2 things, I'm still, I can be here.
You serve a
if I'm not
function.
doing those things,
They'll just
anyway,
eat you.
I'm just it's wait.
I wanted to. Yes.
This
Okay.
says
Hold on.
dogs have owners, cats have staff.
Staff. Yeah.
I'm staff. Anyway.
I've always seen it as dogs are slaves, cats are hookers, and the idea is that you effectively
but choosy ones.
Yeah,
They're choosy hookers.
Yeah, well, the idea is that they're there. You feed them so you can seize them if you're upset at any point and pet them whether they want it or not. Is effectively the prostitution angle. But here, I wanted to show you the Trump's Truth Social's post about the championship because it's even dumber than what they posted on Twitter. It's
about him winning his trophies.
Yes, it is my great.
I won.
Look at this. It is my great honor to be at the Trump International Golf Club in West Palm Beach tonight. I'm surprised you could get an invite too, you creepy fuck. I would think they would reject anybody who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein for over 2 decades.
You would think.
Awards night to receive the club championship trophy and the senior club championship trophy, which I'm guessing are tiered elements of the same because he's old.
He got a great big participation trophy.
I won both.
I won.
I won both of them. Okay.
I took those all caps and I tweeted that meme of him yelling at the kid mowing the lawn.
Yes. I won both.
I won them both.
A large and this is weird too. A large and golfing talented membership.
When you're translating from the original Russian, sometimes the subtleties are lost. So he's a fucking moron. He has no command of the English language. He is sundowning in real time.
Why not?
He's demented.
A large, huge club members. Just say huge. Just say a huge club membership, and many are very talented at golf.
Many people are saying he's very talented. That one that he sent out the other day, where he said, thanks to his talent and hard work, he's got $500 million. You're not talented and you've never worked a day in your life, you fat bastard.
Right.
So, no.
All of it. But it's great. It's a great and difficult course. Great.
It's great in all caps.
Made the play very exciting. What exciting? Motherfucker, you don't know. It's yours. Don't pretend you never been there before. Like, wow, they spun me around 3 times and I didn't even know which course I was going to end up on. Get the fuck out of here. The qualifying and match play was amazing. That's another thing. Like, this is apparently they're losing membership, clearly, because that's
Gee,
what this
I
is
wonder
about.
why.
And distinguished group will be here tonight. Very exciting. Thank you.
A distinguished group of Saudi investors
and pedophiles, I suppose.
Yes,
what's
men?
the yeah, right.
Who? If
Child
Donald Trump
traffickers?
thinks you're distinguished, what does that mean? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you have a driver's license. He doesn't have one, so
That's it.
he
That's
doesn't have
it.
a driver's license. He can't ride a bike.
Nope.
Like, he literally can't. The only thing that he is talented at is grifting. He is like, again, I've said this for a long time. He's like, if it somehow a game of 3-card Monte became somehow self-aware and then put on a really shitty suit. It's just, again, I have long stopped feeling bad for anybody who's been taken in by that, that he's, empty Barnum. He's got nothing. And so many people are still so deeply invested in hanging on to the lie because they just can't admit they were wrong. They just can't. Like, they'll turn to dust or something like that. Follow my example, friends. Listen closely. We were wrong about John Edwards. Still here. Let me try it again. We were wrong about Michael Avenatti.
Yeah.
No lightning bolt. Still here. I was wrong about my ex-husband. Still here. So, it's okay to admit that you were wrong. I understand that disappointment is one of the hardest things to get over. You can be disappointed. He's a huge disappointment.
Huge.
He promised you winning and has only given you losing. What have you gotten for all of your loyalty? What have you gotten for your donations, except maybe some shitty sneakers? What'd you get? What have you gotten? When he keeps asking, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? 4 years ago when we couldn't get toilet paper? 4 years ago when he told us how COVID was going to magically disappear?
Yeah, with the sunshine.
4 years ago where he said he takes no responsibility for the COVID response, that he fucked up so badly, yet behind closed doors told Bob Woodward the truth, that he understood how bad it was and that it was airborne and that when people get it, it's going to be really bad. And then Bob Woodward sat on that info for months because he was selling a book. Like, I want everybody to buy this book.
There you go. We'll end on that. There you go.
This is a book about Donald Trump. If I was writing a book about Donald Trump and I found out something glaringly horrific, I would not wait for my publishing date. I couldn't live with myself if I did that. I just couldn't.
Just go, the details are in my book, but here's the long and short of it. And what you need to know is he said this and did this and that, and I have proof of it in my book. If you want,
people died of COVID because of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And more people died of COVID in red states than blue states. We have that. We have those statistics. So what frustrates me, I mean, again, you want to blindly follow somebody. You want to be in a cult. You want to deny reality. There's a point where you have to look at what is just fact, what is on the record, what is real, what is actually out there and available to you, the same as it is to me. I use the same Google as you. And it's astonishing. Like, if you have Twitter on your phone, you probably have Google too. So, and it's not my responsibility. It's not my responsibility to spoon feed you the links to the truth that you're going to deny anyway and scream it's fake news because it's from the liberal media. I don't know what media you're going to trust, and I don't know what facts you're going to trust. But if you just look at his court calendar, that's real. I didn't make it up. It's real. And it's also not my fault. So you can stop scapegoating Democrats for what Donald Trump did. I would love to see that. If you could just hold him responsible for what he did instead of blaming it on
what a nutty concept. Right.
I know.
By the way,
go buy my book at TireDublinRocks.com. We're very close to selling 600 copies. I'm almost at 600. I would love to get over 600 before the end of this month. If we could push that. The reviews are amazing. And my most recent new friend on Twitter is Robert McNaughton, who played the oldest brother in E.T. And he bought my. He went to his local bookstore to order The Sound of Settling, which you can do, or you can now ask your local libraries to put it on the shelves. You can do that too. But now this book is going to be 1 degree from Steven Spielberg. That makes me aside from being in the hands of Henry Winkler, 1 degree from Steven Spielberg.
It's pretty good.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Eventually, I won't have to worry about politics anymore because I'm going to be too busy working on the adaptation of The Sound of Settling. That's the hope.
I insist. All right.
Thank
Much
you,
love.
Hal.
Thank you so much. See you again
everybody.
soon. Yeah. Be well. Bye.
Maybe next week I'll sound even better. Bye, you guys.
I think you
Take care of
sound very
yourselves.
sultry.
Ooh, thank you very much.
Absolutely
Friend of the call, the Jam
fabulous.
Stamp.
Fabulous. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right. A couple of things before I go, if I may. 1 second. I gotta switch this over real quick. Before I wrap up. Also, let's just go. Hi, chat room, real quick. Yay! Thanks, Tara. Blindly following the Antichrist, as the Bible says. Well, I don't give him as much credit. I don't think he qualifies as the Antichrist. I really don't. But hold on. I'm gonna put that in there, and then I have to do this thing. That open it up here. A couple of things I want to share with you before I go. One primarily is where'd it go? You were just here. There it is. Okay, open this up. And I'll stretch it out into there, and then go to the comms window, and then here we go. This Friday, I'll be at Flappers. Hold on, I have to slide this thing down so it fits. That's much better. It'll fit in a second. Give me a moment. I like making fun art for my shows. This Friday, Flappers. So Patreon folks will get a comedy show. Their live stream seems to be working just fine, so I will set it up, and you guys will be able to see it. And thank you very much. Via a YouTube link that I will post there, and you will be able to see it there. And also, I'm going to create on the Discord a little chat room that people can kind of like gather, and I'll see if I can post it there as well in case you're on the Discord and you prefer being in that or whatever. Because when it's an unlisted show or a private show, it doesn't the chat just doesn't become much of a thing. So sometimes the Discord's better for that. So I'll work on that as a potential thing. I'm always adding shit, but that's this Friday. Also, I want to show you real quick, if I may. This is a video that Trump has on his Telegram and on his website that is supposed to be a dunk on Joe Biden. It is Joe Biden eating ice cream as the guys charge through the fence. Now, let's just say, chat room, real quick. Let's go on. Let's do a little thought experiment before we head out into the rest of our day. And I see you later on this afternoon at 3 o'clock Pacific time for House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc., etc. Let's say you were going to do that. You're going to do this video overlay of your opponent. They're distracted doing they're doing something else, and you want to point out that they're not paying attention to something you think is important, and then you overlay them on top of that. Wouldn't you, if you had a piece of video, wouldn't you just keep it to the part that makes them look bad and cut off the part that makes you look bad and stupid for making the point? I'll show you what I mean. Join me, won't you? Come over. Come, chat room. Come in here. This is super fun. So this is a shot of that National Guard guy's ass. And this is I think from when he was on Seth the other day, eating ice cream. On Seth Meyers' show. By the way, hi Seth's writers. Now, here you go. They charge in, and he's eating ice cream, and they're closing him. Now, he doesn't even use the early part where they're pushing through to that end. He grabs like the worst part of the video, because if you'll notice, slam. That's the end of it. They just run into the gate. They're not getting through. They ran. It's like, why? You back up and you're like, oh shit, yeah, they're definitely not getting through that thing. So your point is he can eat ice cream because the border isn't really open, right? Does that not seem, it's an attempt at World War Z stuff or whatever. It seems like, yes, I agree, Sinful Solutions. I think it looks like a pro-Biden ad. Like, fucking, yeah, I can eat ice cream. Border's not open. What are you fucking listening to these dickheads? Rome burns. Adorable, Wes. So yeah, I thought that was pretty hilarious. That even it's like when Trump used the Thanos shot, of the snap, and it wasn't even a like it was the snap that didn't work in Endgame after the gems had been stolen, the Infinity Stones had been stolen from him and were in the other glove, and he goes clank. Not only are you likening yourself to the biggest mass murderer in cinematic history in this idea, I'll pick a cartoon villain that murders half the universe just because he thinks there's too much traffic. I'm also going to use the part where he fails to make myself look macho by putting my head on his body. What the fuck? Clank. Feel free to check the clip. I'm absolutely right on that, by the way. Yeah, it was the gauntlet fail. It's exactly right. So, by the way, later on this afternoon, I was going to maybe even get into it earlier, but Trump did a little video about citizenship and how he's going to turn away everybody and yada yada and kick people out, and anybody with a Spanish accent is going to get, or Hispanic accent is going to get thrown out of the country, and because they're dirty, scary monsters. Yeah, and believe me, look forward to anecdotal situations where they think that one case is all cases, because that's going to be the way they do it. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you so much, Peter, on the way out for that. That was lovely. There's a super sticker from. There you go. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Don't forget patreon.com/HalSparks, etc., etc. I always hate saying that kind of stuff, but it's true. Before I leave, I will. Absolutely, Andrea. Got it. Any Flappers Patreon chat? Sorry. Do it through Discord, Megaworldwide room. Okay. For the Flappers Patreon chat, isn't that what we planned for anyway? Yes. Yes, that's where I'll put it, Andrea. I think. Yeah. It's a matter of whether their system can stream to it. I think it can, but we shall see. I have to set it up because they don't have everything there that I have. So that's my thought. Anyways, love you guys. All hail Dark Brandon and Without Fear. And remember, also, now that I have the ability to throw these kind of things up, let's see. Where like Arizona sunflowers, I love Joe. He reminds me of my own Grampy, whom I miss dearly. Agreed. I think it's a lovely thing. Now that I have the ability to do that, we're going to do a couple of like AMA kind of things in the mornings every so often, where if you've got a question and we can put it in there, I'll figure out a way on the day. It'll change each time so it doesn't get stacked or whatever. If you have a specific question you want answered, we'll do a little symbol in there that I can sort out and be able to answer it, if that helps. So we can do those kind of things. And hopefully I'll have that in place by this weekend. But I'm on the road this weekend, so I'll get it working as soon as possible, so we can do this as part of the radio show as well. So it can be a lot clearer for people at home, and that kind of thing. And maybe I can even give Johnny the ability to do it. Wait a minute, that could be cool. I'll work on it. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. And I'll see you after I figure out. I don't have a button that ends the show. I don't have an ending show button anymore. I got rid of it. Now I can't. Now the show's just got to go on forever. credits. Give me a second. Hooray!
No one's ever seen a bond this size. Every single person, when I came to them saying, hey, can I get a $500 million bond? Maria, they were laughing. They were laughing. Top executives. No one's $25 billion construction project that lasted almost 25 years. They're trying to put my father out of business. They're trying to take all his resources that he would otherwise put into his own campaign for president.
Just follow the money.
A $500 million bond. And Maria, remember one thing: the banks all testified Trump was the greatest borrower we've ever had. And there was no victim. This is a crooked system with a crooked attorney general. Literally wants to put my father out of business, and you know who they're actually going to hurt? They're going to hurt the thousands and thousands of employees.
I love lamps.
These are janitors, these are doormen, these are people that work in commercial buildings. They're going to hurt those individuals, not
How,
those
in the
individuals.
name of Zeus's butthole, did you get out of your cell?
That we employed. It was a crooked number. We're going to go back and Maria, this isn't about this. This is lawfare. I love that they have that judge that you have on this size. Every single person when I came to them saying, "Hey, can I get a $500 million bond?" Maria, they were laughing. Largest surety company. I've never seen anything of this size. And what, they're going to start seizing assets? If he can't.
Stop breaking the